Hey, it's Mystery. I just want to do one of those kind of videos where I take the veil off the illusion, the delusion. But let me just go ahead and do this because sometimes people don't like the way I look if I put on the mystery get up. Oh, let me put it back. Oh, no, no. See, this is what the video is about. It's about the distraction of the appearance and the superficial things that don't really mean anything. And we're talking about religion today because some people don't know how to take religion. You know, it's going through some changes. Maybe it's always going through some changes. I don't know if this time of history, 2012, it's any different than say 1512 or 1212. When you see that people are following a religion and you're outside of it, you're outside of the group, and you're saying, what, how how do they believe that? How do they stay focused on that? And then switch the perspective to the person that is in the religion and they're like, yeah, this is the only thing that I can believe. This is the only religion I can follow. I can't know anything about any other religion. So then you got to wonder, like, how does it get that way? I mean, you think you know, you assume you know, you presume. But right now, I'm gonna take it apart just to make sure, because you have to do this a lot. And I've probably done this hundreds of times, but this is the only time that I've really done it on video. You ask logical questions, just like a scientific mind, which ultimately I am. A very uh, clear, concise thinker, very conscious, very aware. And by that, you use logic, you use reason. Basically, reason and logic are the same thing. The semantic origins of the words, I don't know, maybe a different source. I'll look it up later. But it also has to do with science, because science makes sense out of things. They use clear cut rationality is another word. Rational. Rational means it makes sense. That's all it means. It means it makes sense. It means that you put the apple over here, you put the orange over here, and the pear is over here, and we don't get them confused. We know what they are until we blend them together as the juice. Then after that, we remember where they all came from, and it's a blend. But it's rational. It's a rational approach to what's going on and keeping track of the source of everything. So with religion, it's very interesting because there has to be an explanation for their closed-mindedness. And when you get in a religion, I'm not trying to offend anybody here. I'm saying if you are so loyal to your religion, you have to admit that it requires, at least in some shape and form, that you're going to be closed-minded to everything else. So the explanation for this is because over time you will have a leader within the religion, the orthodoxy, or the central core of the religion, the historical religion, and you will have this um, urge to solidify the power and the focus. So in other words, that person who's either right in the center of things, like the Pope or the Dalai Lama, or even if they're more like a lieutenant, they're on the side or they're regional, that person is saying, I have to solidify the power and the focus. And what do I do? So the main thing that they have to do is to convince everyone that they're trying to attract. And what's the most logical way to do that? It's by exaggerating something out of the scripture and saying that this is the last prophet, which last means several things. There's two main things that last means. Last means it's the last forever. Obviously that's the way we'd want to use it. But last also means it's the last one, the latest one, or the most recent. But it doesn't imply that will never be another one. It's just the word last. It's translated that way. And then you could use things out of context, like it's the only way, only son. So these are also mistranslations, misinterpretations, and what happens is they completely distort it or magnify it and exaggerate it to their own ends, and that's a power trip. Now this is completely the same technique that's used by politicians, which if you look at my writings and my teachings that I've come up with, I basically demonstrate how the major organized religions are no different than the governments of the world. That they basically operate in the past or continue to operate as governments or shadow governments, and their names are just different. Their approach, either from the supernatural or from the secular approach, it may change. They start out coming from a different angle, but ultimately the way they function and the way they operate is the same. So this technique that I'm telling you about, how one of the central religious leaders will say, I need to solidify my power, I need to get everybody's focus. It's the same thing that a politician will do. Same exact thing. When they want to get elected or when they want more attention and more importance brought to them, they'll say, my government is this, it's so important. Or with the religious leader, as I started out by saying, is going to be like, oh, this religion's so important, it's the only thing, the only one that's true. So all this is I don't want to say it's total lies. It's just partial truth, which is a very generic way of saying how you take a part of the truth and you emphasize it too much, and then partial truth becomes distortion of the truth, or just it's distortion. It's taking things out of context and just repeating it and repeating it and repeating it, dwelling on one area and not really seeing the bigger picture. So that's where people that follow a religion are at fault. They have been convinced that they should be closed-minded and be told that theirs is the only religion, and they become completely ignorant. They're totally in the dark about everything else and every other people. You'll see Christians completely against Jews or Muslims. You'll see Muslims completely against Jews and Christians, and you'll see Jews completely against Muslims and Christians. So those are the three that are always against each other, and then you have all the other ones from so-called the East who will also go against. And then you have the modern religion, which is, I'm going to talk more about this later, but the modern religion that really everybody follows is a materialistic, atheistic, industrial religion, where they just worship all the things that they have. It's a techno theology type of thing, where they're explaining that you can't live without the cell phone, they can't live without this, you can't live without the webcam and the blogging. Actually, we can. I don't need to do this. I've been saying for years that I wish people would just get together. I said at the YouTube gathering, well, why don't we all get together and plan to get together, instead of no, we'll just get together for our ego and then break apart again and just keep doing more and more videos. It's just it's encouraging one thing in the virtual. But anyhow, this video is not about that. This video is about religion and why the leaders of the religion end up misleading their flock by saying that there is no other religion. Okay, so the conclusion is this. The conclusion is that it's not true to say that there's no other true religion than your own. That's a falseness. That's a distortion. You could go so far as to say it's a lie.